Autism is a developmental condition which may challenge one's ability to communicate and adapt to the world around him. As we observe Autism Consciousness Week, we try to know more about this condition and how best to treat people affected by it. Joining us this morning is Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrician, Dr. Francis Dimalanta. Good morning and welcome back to New Day.
Good morning, doctor.
Now, first off, let's talk about autism, and could you describe for us what exactly is autism?
Autism is a lifelong developmental, we would like to call it exceptionality, which affects a child or an adult's way of socializing, of speaking, of adapting to the world.
Right.
So it is characterized by a triad of symptoms of speech delay,
Okay.
social unrelatedness, and stereotypical movement. When a child, we see them early on, will have probably all these odd movements
Okay.
of hand flapping, spinning, running back and forth.
Okay.
So being a spectrum, as you mentioned earlier, so it cuts across different abilities of a child. So a child may end up not talking, but a child can end up talking to and getting to finish a degree.
Okay. Now, with these symptoms that you mentioned, do we already know at what age do these symptoms normally come out?
The American Academy of Pediatrics says that we could do the screening as early as 18 months.
Okay.
Okay, and I think the thing that we would like to tell people is that at 2 years old, if your child doesn't have 50 words, then you ought to be seen by a doctor, by your pediatrician, by a developmental pediatrician, to be able to find out if there are red flag signs and intervention that can be done.
Okay. And do we already know the cause for autism?
Sadly not. Much research is still being done. But the sad part is that over the years, the prevalence has increased. In fact, it's 1 out of 49 children. In the Philippines, it's about 1 out of 100. So that would translate into about 2 million children and adults probably with the disorder.
Okay. Now, what they lack in communication skills, sometimes we see kids with autism develop other traits. Actually, it's enhanced traits in some other regions. Is this typically the case?
True. It may be for others. So like being in a spectrum, some may remain nonverbal, but others may go on and finish a PhD degree, finish and become functional adults. So I think what we would like to share with the audience is that first to accept, to be aware, to accept, and to be more inclusive of all these children with autism.
Now, in line with what you just said, what is the best way for parents? Because like what you said, one of the best ways to deal with this is to understand, to know what the child is going through. And what would some of the best skills of a parent, what should the parent understand with this?
Maybe I would even think that it should be first of all acceptance. Many may not be in, or many may be in denial that they have a child with a special need or an exceptional need.
Right.
But once you are more accepting of it, it goes forward because you get to seek early intervention. And the key here is early recognition, early intervention, better prognosis.
So part of that early recognition, like what you said earlier, doctor, it's when the child does not have 50 words within...
At 2 years old.
At 2 years old,
Not
then...
speaking phrases, then you ought to have themselves checked, whether it is a boy or a girl. Because
Okay.
another misconception is that boys will speak much later, but not anymore.
Okay.
They should be also doing speaking at 2 years old.
Now, that's very informative. Now, this is in line also with Autism Week.
Consciousness Week,
Autism
yes.
Consciousness Week. Do we have any activities in line for this week?
Yes, the Autism Society Philippines has, this is the 24th National Autism Consciousness Week,
Right.
has kicked off with activities since Monday, and it will end and culminate with the Autism, the Angels Walk at MOA on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, so it'll be, this has been started before, and people with families with autism will be there to come together and to make everyone aware that there's always a place for a child with autism.
Now, for those parents or those who know of a loved one who might have autism or want to get more information, is there a number that they can contact or a website they can go to?
They're on Facebook, Autism Society Philippines.
Okay.
It's a parent-driven organization, so the support is there and would be helpful for any family facing this challenge.
Great to know, and I'm excited for the activities that you will have lined up for this week. And that is Dr. Francis Dimalanta. Thank you very much. He's a developmental and behavioral pediatrician.